Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Breaking It with Burnout podcast. I am excited for every guest that I have on the show. But today is my friend Jerisha. She is another social worker. She actually has been somebody that's been in my world for a little while. She's been working towards her license, and she also is a coach as well. So we kind of align from that perspective as well. So you guys, as with all of my guests, I just want you to know them because they are just awesome people and you need to be in their world. So, Jerisha, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Tell the people who you are and what are you up to in the world.
So I am Jerisha Wilson. Actually been working on how to introduce myself.
Yeah, do
um
it.
and not learning how to not tie what I do to my identity. So at the core of me, I'm Jerisha. I'm a child of God. On top of that, I'm a licensed social worker, licensed in Tennessee. I'm also a business owner. I own Jerisha Wilson Coaching. It's a life coaching business that essentially helps women turn their pain into purpose, whether that's through writing a book, whether that's working on their mental health goals for better quality of life. I help women navigate that with emotional regulation. Also, a new mom. I've been a mom for 3 months. Woohoo!
Yeah.
And I'm a wife and a dog mom. So my hands are full.
Yes. Yes. You've got lots of things on your plate right now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about, you talked about working with women when it comes to emotion regulation. Let's get into that. Tell us, like, from your perspective, what is emotion regulation?
Yes. So from my perspective, emotional regulation is not just being happy all the time. I think that from my perspective, grew up thinking people that were well emotionally regulated was just always happy.
Mm.
And that's not the case.
Yeah.
Being emotionally regulated is knowing how to navigate life's trials, tribulations, not with ease, but with wisdom, giving yourself space to feel those emotions and basically knowing how to bounce back and be resilient through those things. And so it took me a long time
Mhm.
to understand that. But that was what I say what emotional regulation is and how we learn to navigate this world and its trials.
Yeah. So, something you said, I've been having this conversation with a couple of people because in our world, feeling your emotion, sitting with your, like when we say sit with your emotion, feel with your emotions, like we know what we're talking about. So I'd love to have this conversation
Yeah.
around what does it actually mean
Mhm.
to sit with your emotions and actually feel those emotions?
This is actually a very not new, but a place of improvement in my personal life that
Mhm.
I've been on a journey on recently. I started back therapy about 8 months ago, and sitting with my emotions has, for me, learning what that meant was not just sitting in the dumps for days and hours
Yeah.
upon hours. It's acknowledging it
Yeah.
accepting how you feel in
Mhm.
that moment
Yeah.
and evaluating what my needs are, essentially, what it boils
Mhm.
down to. And I was not comfortable with that before, even as
Yeah.
a social worker,
Sure. Yeah.
even as a therapist, I just was not comfortable with negative emotions. When it came, I wanted to be over. I wanted to be done
Yeah.
because I'm supposed to be strong. I'm supposed to be happy. I don't got time for that. That's something that I always say. I don't got time to be sad. I don't got time.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if you don't make time, it will make you make time.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I feel like also I have been working on radical acceptance.
Yes, you taught me that.
Yeah. Thank you. So I'm still learning it. I feel like I'm in another wave of it right now because my knee jerk reaction too, as a human being, is to avoid the negative emotions. If they don't feel good, I don't want to deal with them. Like you said, I ain't got time for that. But
What do
it's
you mean
true.
by it's the new wave?
I feel like I have learned how to accept the emotions. Now I'm learning how to move through them.
Okay.
So talking about, like you said, acknowledging them and being okay with them. Because then the other part of it is I can acknowledge them. I'm good at acknowledging them, but then I want to go into fix it mode. I want to fix
Correct.
them. And so I feel like this new wave of learning
Gotcha.
is to actually what we're talking about, sit in them, allow them to come, allow that wave of emotion to come instead of avoiding it. Instead of saying, I know it's there, but I don't want to feel it, or I ain't got time for it, or I'll deal with it later, which in some spaces and places, I tell clients this too, is that we do have to, sometimes we have to put them aside in order to do what's right in front of us. The important part is coming back to those
Yeah.
emotions because they will store inside of us. And that's what really essentially that's what burnout is that it's unresolved chronic stress. Well, emotions cause tension when we don't feel them, when we don't move through them and allowing ourselves to move through them. And I've learned tapping. So the emotion freedom technique is what my coach has used with me, and it's tapping on acupressure points on your body to help release the stuck emotion. So that's part of a tool that I continue to learn, I continue to use because I'm learning like I can talk all day long and process verbal processing, but what was happening, they were still getting stuck in my
In
head
the
and I was feeling them. And I
Gotcha.
feel them, like, I'll feel it in my neck or feel it in my jaw, and I even realized, like, I was avoiding those feelings too, like, I would feel it and freak out and be like, "I don't wanna feel this in my body right now. What do I do?" Try to fix it. But in the reality, like, being in acceptance before you do something has helped me have so much self-compassion and has taught me to be like, it's okay to have this emotion. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be frustrated. Like I had a client not too long ago say something like, I know I shouldn't feel this way. And I was like, wait a second. Yeah. Who taught you that you
Yeah.
feel this emotion? And she was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know. So we just talked about that. And so that kind of goes into expectations or even like unconscious beliefs that we have that start to come to the surface.
Yeah. And I think too, something that something that popped in my head while you were talking, as therapists, as people who are called to help people work through their issues, where I heard somebody say we're like professional problem solvers in a sense.
Yeah, we are.
And when she said that, I was like, oh my God, yeah. And to the point of fixing things, like, okay, that's not always the answer. Like, I've had to learn, I got to turn off that strategizing mindset to
Yeah.
fix the problem for myself because that's not always the answer. And sometimes it's okay to not know the
Hmm.
answer of how to fix it.
Yeah.
And her tying in faith, like sometimes God don't want you to fix it. Let
Right.
him do it. And
Yeah.
it's hard for me to like sometimes turn off that problem solving brain
Mhm.
because I'm fixing problems for people and I want to fix them for myself, but I don't always have that answer or need to do that.
And I think a lot of the times we are holding space for other people. We're
Yeah.
holding a safe space for other people to feel safe, to feel their emotion. And so oftentimes it's, well, I'm doing this all day long for other people. Now I got to do it for
For
myself.
myself.
Uh,
Outside now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think what you said is really key, tying in the faith perspective, because I believe in God too. And faith is the foundation of what I do,
Yeah.
even if I don't talk about it a ton, but it is what I do. And sometimes it's like God has a better answer than we do, or he has a better fix than we do. And I think
Yeah.
that with clients, sometimes that like he knows their hearts better than we do. Even though we're there
Absolutely.
sitting with them, he knows their hearts better. He knows our hearts better than we know them ourselves. And so being able to tune in to him is huge.
Yeah, because
I,
that's a part of meekness. the part of the Beatitudes that talks about it, I think it's Matthew 5 or 6. I think it's 5. It talks about blessed are those who are meek. And I think about that and being meek to me, my understanding is like I'm strong, I'm capable, I can do all the things, but I submit to God, even in my
Yes.
strength. And so, as somebody that's professionally great at this thing that can solve problems, me submitting to God and asking his perspective is showing meekness, is showing humility. I actually don't know everything. I actually don't know what my client needs. You know what's best for them. So let me submit myself to the creator who created them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a humbling reminder every time that I do that.
Yeah, me too. And it's like a quiet surrender.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Exactly.
I need my spirit to be still so I can tune in for him to flow through.
Yep.
Okay, so talking about God and having a faith-based perspective, let's talk about it in relation to burnout. As the podcast is called The Breaking Up with Burnout. So let's talk about burnout. We can even go down, let's talk about burnout in the church, all these different things.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let you take the lead on this and tell me your thoughts when it comes to burnout and faith.
First of all, I think that let's go faith based. Like burnout is something I wouldn't say very new, but new enough for the generation before us. What
What's
you talking
that?
about burnout? They viewed like the works that we do, the works that you do, like you have to work in the works that you do is the biggest thing that matters. Even when it comes to faith, is works based a lot
Yeah.
of the time in previous generations or with certain, I would say, denominations as well in the Christian faith.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because we adopt it, even especially living in America, we are raised to be worker bees, like
Yes.
point blank,
Yeah.
period. And Christ is like the total opposite in an aspect of he's come to me, those who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Be still and know that I'm God. Well, what does that mean in the aspect of burnout? And I think a lot of people take it as like when you're tired you just stop everything and don't do anything for a while. That could be the case, but
Mhm.
it's transforming your mind to rest in God, to trust in God, to draw your
Yeah.
strength from God so you can be fueled to do what He's called you to do. And I
Yeah.
think the disconnect for me a long time was I had to work,
Mm.
and prove myself.
Yes. Yeah.
Like in my mind, if I'm burnt out, that shows that I am worthy. That shows that I'm a hard worker. Like it shows that I'm worthy, which is
But
not the case.
and in some instances, burnout is saying, like, to ourselves, it's saying, "Actually, I'm not worthy." It's the
Correct.
exact opposite. Like, we use it as a badge of honor in
Correct.
our society, but the reality is, like, we're saying, "I'm not
Yep.
important enough to put my cares and my needs and what I need," not in a selfish way. Because sometimes people will take that misconstrue and say, "Well, it's all about you, it's all about I,"
Yeah.
but the reality is like God created us in unique ways, and you might need to rest more than I do. And somebody else may need to rest more than me. And or on the flip side, somebody may have higher capacity
Right.
to handle work than I do. And I know that's part of my burnout story is that I just kept working and kept saying it's gonna get better. It didn't get better.
It
That was
did
a
not.
lie. That was a lie to keep me on the hustle train, like it's gonna get better because it never does. Or like the thought of, well, when this happens in life, oh, when I get married, I can do this. When I have kids, I can do this. When I, whatever it is, it could be anything. Then I'll do the thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I think too that to that point, I think about also in the Bible when it talks about the parable of the talents, how
yeah,
the master gave each
mhm,
person a different amount of talents and Basically, they gave him back more of what he gave them, and one of them did not. I think about burn in that aspect of burnout is we're not stewarding ourselves well.
Yeah. We're hiding in some instance. We're burying ourselves for the sake of the job, for the sake of our boss, for the sake of other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, so when you are not stewarding what God has given you, starting with yourself, your mind, your body, your spirit, and then the talents, you will lead to burnout because you're doing it in your own strength. And it's so hard to switch that. It's so hard to switch
Yeah.
that in this culture, but it's necessary if you want longevity and you want sustainability and you want legacy. That's point blank, period.
Yes, 1000%. I love that you said that because I think that is for all of us that are helping professionals. I would like to
Yes.
say anybody who holds space for other people. That may be your profession like us, or maybe you're a caregiver or you're a mom. Like you are holding space for your kids, you're holding space for other people. We have to learn and or unlearn really what we're talking. We have to unlearn that like it's selfish to take care of ourselves. I hear that so many times that people are like, well, it's selfish. I feel selfish. I feel guilty, which leads to shame. And shame is attacking our identity and who we are and saying that we're not worthy or that's not who I'm supposed to be. But the reality is like, it is okay. I keep hearing
Yeah.
my coach in my brain because she's always like, me, it is okay. You can
And
receive.
going to that root of why do you feel unworthy, I think we ride
Yeah.
over that root a lot of the time. Let's actually get into why you feel unworthy to pause,
Yeah.
why you feel unworthy to say it's okay, why you feel
Mhm.
unworthy to receive rest. That is a lot of the problem. And a lot of people goes back to acknowledging like you have to face yourself in that way and allow yourself
Yeah.
to explore that. Cause a
Yeah.
lot of it 99.99% comes from your childhood. Maybe what somebody exemplified to you, learned behavior, or you had to earn your way through all the things as a child. Whatever that looks like for you, but you gotta explore that unworthiness because it's gonna carry out in everything you do.
When you've worked with clients and you're digging a little deeper of what is that underlying thing?
Yeah.
What is that core belief that's underneath them not feeling worthy? Is there something that you see that's common among your clients?
Yeah, the unworthiness a lot of times come from their caregiver, like their needs are not important.
Yeah.
Equates them to not being worthy of X, Y, and Z, if that makes
Mm.
sense, or experiencing shame so much
Yeah.
that they've taken on the identity of unworthiness. And
Mhm.
you said like shame really plays a big part in a lot of it. I would even speak to like culturally in the Black community, like if
Mhm.
as a Black woman, let's just even go there.
Mhm.
You are not showing up in a certain way, or you can't show up and do all the things that we are looked at to do. The
Mhm.
shame from that, the
Yeah.
shame that you get from that, the shame from the expectation of yourself as a Black person, that really, I see that a lot. And it takes a lot of, like you said, unlearning, relearning, and self compassion. I don't know what it is, and maybe you can speak to that too, but like in the Black community, self-compassion is just such a hard concept to apply to us. It's
Yeah.
very hard.
And I think for women in general, what I've seen across
Yes.
the board, no matter what culture you come from, there's this like guilt of I'm not enough.
Yeah.
That's the core belief is like I'm not enough. And I think all of us in humanity has that to a certain extent.
Yeah.
As that I'm not, but it's exasperated in some cultures, in some communities because of expectations. So this goes to like cultural expectations of this is how you're supposed to operate. This is what you're supposed to be. And correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of times I've seen in the Black community, it's you're the woman. You have to be strong. You
Yep.
have to know what you want. You have to carry everything that's going on in the family. You got to make sure everything's in line. And if you're not in that role, then what's wrong with you?
Yep. That's where God is like, we got a problem because if you're my child, you belong to me. You're playing God. You're
Yeah.
playing God.
Yeah.
And we are
Mhm.
human. We as humans are not created to play that role. It's too weighty. It's too heavy. That is why we crash,
Yep.
literally. And
Yeah.
so that takes a heart posture to say, hey, God, I have created an idol of myself. To be
Mhm.
honest, I
Yeah.
have created an idol of myself. I repent and I need to remember that I am your daughter or your son and not in the judge seat or the driver's seat. And it's hard for people, I think, too, in a helping professional that maybe grew up. Well, I'm gonna say people who have gotten the helping professional out of wanting to better other people because of what they went through.
Yes.
You have to watch that
Mm.
because that can lead to
Yes.
burnout too.
Yeah. Yeah, because in some essence, sometimes there's a subconscious belief that as I'm helping other people, I'm fixing my own stuff.
Yeah, it's not
You're
really.
like that, yeah, yeah. And so that's why I have always said across my career, the best therapist has a therapist. The best coach has a
Amen.
coach. Have a mentor. If you don't have a therapist, have a mentor, have a coach, have somebody that can speak into your life, somebody that can see what you can't see and teach you some things.
It holds you
And,
accountable.
and yeah, holding you accountable. And we just don't like the accountability
No,
anymore.
nobody does.
Nobody likes accountability. I just went through a module. I'm going through a module through a company on leadership. And the module I just went through is about accountability and
Mhm.
holding yourself and your team accountable. And like, how do you do that? And it's okay. What do you do when you don't do that? What does that sound like and feel like? And sometimes, and maybe it's not accountability. Call it a check in. So I'm just following up on.
That's
I was
good.
like, oh, yeah. I was like, I normally call it a check-in. Like, I'm just checking in to see how you're doing and what's going on with my team. And accountability sometimes hurt. I think that's
Yeah.
why we don't like it because we don't want to have radical acceptance. Let's go into radical responsibility for ourselves, our behaviors, how we think, how we feel. That's, oh, somebody's calling me on my stuff. Guilt, shame,
Yep.
identity, getting back to all the things that we talked about, but when you're in relationship with somebody that, that cares for you and really wants what's best for you,
Yeah.
and that's a safe place, and I think about that with my relationship with God too, like, I know God is a safe refuge in a place of compassion and
That's right.
comfort. Like I think in the scripture that says his kindness draws to you.
Yeah.
I want to say this for those of you who maybe have experienced God and there's not a kindness there.
Yeah.
I encourage you to explore who he is for who he really is. Like the truth says he is kind. Yes, are there other things? And let's have a conversation about the other characteristics of God. But the true character of who he is, that kindness, is compassion, is sacrifice. And when we can be in relationship with other people that are kind
Yeah.
and want for our good, then we can be like, it's okay that I feel this shame because we're going to work through it. Or it's okay that I'm feeling. Because I feel like I, in my own journey in working with different therapists and coaches, sometimes I feel guilty for the feelings that I was coming to them with. And I know that from like myself as a client, but also from my clients that would come to me and share those things. I know I'm not supposed to feel this way. And I'm always like, it is okay for you to feel what you're feeling. It's what you do with the feeling.
Right.
It's,
Yeah. And I think that's so big for the big church, like the global church, university church. Like we we often praise people for how much they're doing in ministry or how much souls they're saving and how much you're
yeah.
doing, but the behaviors that are happening are not being checked in
Yeah.
because of the performance.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Right.
sometimes people make excuses for their behavior that result from burnout because they won't pause and stop. That happens a lot in leadership in church.
Yeah.
And people are hurt from that. People
Right.
get hurt from that. And I think there's a passion of mine, like to just make leaders and people that God has entrusted people under you. Really, this is why self-care is important. This is why it's important to pay attention because you actually are hurting people for your lack of wanting to pause and stop and
Right.
and deal with their own mess. Let's just say it plain.
Right. No, yes. I'm like, yes, all the like personal experiences I had running through my mind. But also, I had a conversation with someone not too long ago, and she was just like, because I was talking about like compassion fatigue and burnout and how I've been doing these trainings. And she's, do you do it with anybody like in the church setting, girl? And I was like, well, I've thought about it just because of my own experiences. And I know you and I have talked about it some off off the podcast, and I've talked to other people as well. And I'm like, I know, like burnout, because I got burnt out from doing all the things and trying to meet all the needs. And I was like volunteering in every single part of ministry because at the time I had time to do all of that. But I can remember one of my pastors and like mentors at that time, they sat me down and was like, Tiffany, you got to stop. And I always remember that conversation because they were like, you can't keep going. Other people will ask you to keep going because there's a need, but you can't do it.
And people will exploit your gift of serving.
I know. Oh, yeah. 1000%. There were people in leadership that, like, I know they depended on me. They were like, I like that little pat on the back.
Yeah, that's
So
right. Exactly.
dependable. Tiffany, you're so reliable. We're so glad to have you. We're so grateful. But then it was like, well, can you serve in this area? And I was
Yep.
like, okay, yeah. It's just, yeah. So going back to like leadership and those in the church that have leadership position, I know there's a very tension and a tug of we need support versus we need to take care of ourselves, or there's so much need in the church that we don't have enough people to meet those needs. And I know there's a tension of that, but also, like you said, I think there needs to be the switch from the works.
Yeah. Yeah. And learning how to be a daughter or son of God.
Yeah.
Think about
Yeah.
children, they're not, hopefully they're not. The children are not working to be loved by you like you love them
Right.
anyway. So that's the
Right.
same way Christ looks at us. And he gives us the power to do the works.
Right.
It comes from him. And so we just have to understand that. And like I said, honestly, do the work of not having your identity. And we talked about this, tied up into what you do. That's a big part of it. Like you have to have a breaking down and rebuild makeup essentially because so much of what we do is tied to our identity and we work from that place. I think too, what was coming to my mind that you talk about a lot is rhythms.
Yeah.
You have to have rhythms in place to prevent you being burnt out, especially as a leader. Like you said, as a high achiever, that's like honestly a non-negotiable. And I was reminded of that this week. It was like, you're not being still, and you know you need to be still in order to see what you're doing. And I'm sorry, God, you're right. Like I have not been still. Like all the anxiety, confusion, stress, all of that is heightened when you don't have the rhythms in place that work for you.
Yes. Yeah. And every season, as we're
It's
going into fall season, every season has a different rhythm.
That's right.
Every season of life has a different rhythm. Some rhythms will stay the same and they'll be okay, but other ones will change. And we just have to be careful because fall time, I'm just going to like caveat on this for a second. Fall time, we know that things are slowing down. We know like seasonally, like the trees are dying in such beautiful color. There's such a beautiful lesson in the trees dying in the beautiful colors of that. There's a whole lesson in that. We see that. We see the birds. Like we have tons of birds around here. They're like just chatty the last couple mornings because it's been so cold. I'm like, they're getting ready to go. They're making plans to go south.
We got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, what is up with them? But you just see that our nature around us slowing down, making plans for the winter. For us, society wise, like we're like pumping up for Halloween and for Thanksgiving and for school activities and for all this. So there's this temptation to just keep hustling through the very months that beg naturally for us to slow down.
But look at the awareness that it takes to even realize that, Tiffany.
It's taken me years.
That's what I'm like, go, yes, Lord, help me. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
it's like you said, it takes you years. It really takes you to train your mind to be like, oh, like the revelation of paying attention to how nature and that's how God designed it. And
Yeah.
that makes me think about even in biblical times, like they operated off the seasons of harvest. You know what I'm saying? Like they moved through those
Yeah.
seasons and different times of the years meant
Right.
different things for their crops. And we just so like far removed from this time. We got to keep
Right.
this train running. But
Right.
how much more, how much probably wouldn't even be really having a conversation of burnout as much as we do if we will pay attention to how you are just described. Help
Yeah.
us, Jesus.
Yes, please. Because I still have that natural, and a lot of people tell me, they're like, I can't just sit still. I can't just, so I tell people, I'm like, what comes up for you? That's the question. What comes up for you when you're trying to sit still? Well, I got to do something. I got to get up. And that's that nervous energy or that anxious energy that's there. And I'm like, yeah, I do that too. When you can't sit still, you find what's restful and you find what's worshipful,
All of that.
whatever that may be. So if taking a walk in nature and observing is restful and you're connected to God and you're connected to the nature that's around you, then do that. Or if you'd like to sit and do a craft, do that. Just, if sitting still is really hard for you, because it is, it's a reality for a lot of people, because the reality is your nervous system is used to operating a certain way. Like
Yeah,
I had to learn this a lot. And I had to learn that like I have to regulate my nervous system in order to give space in my body
gotcha.
to be still. Otherwise, there's this anxious energy and tension. That's what am I going to do? What's the next thing I got to do?
Gotta do
I
something.
got to do something. But the reality is, we don't have to. Like,
And
we
that
need
goes
to.
back to, I think that takes faith to do that. Like it
Yeah,
takes
1000%. And
faith and
trust.
trust. Yeah,
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah. 1000%. No, and I've learned this a lot in my business too, is that I have to, when I take a step back, like I just came back from a long vacation,
Yeah.
the longest vacation I've taken in a long time. I probably college was the last time I
Wow.
took such a long vacation. Just because in college they shut down the school for 2 weeks, so you're out of school.
YOLO.
But it's like I had to trust that my business was going to run in the way it was supposed to while I was gone. I had to trust that my team was equipped, that I equipped them to do the things that they needed to do. I had to
Yeah,
trust God that, and I've done this a lot in business. So if you're like an entrepreneur, there's a lot of exercising faith and trust, like that I'm doing enough, because you can hustle real hard. And that's the mentality in business. It's like you got to hustle hard. You got to keep promoting. You got to keep marketing. You got to keep doing all these different things. And I feel like I hit a level of burnout when it came to being an entrepreneur. And now I'm really learning like what marketing style that I like to do, what fits me, what I
you.
feel like God has created me to do. Like doing this podcast is one of my favorite things. I'm like, okay, I got to carve out more time for this and sit back on the other stuff
Yeah,
and trust that the people who are going to hear this will hear it and will come into my world, and that God's going to send the right people to come through. And
amen.
that is not easy.
No, and you know me. Well, that's kind of
Yeah.
how we got started. That
Yes.
very
Yeah.
thing, and it's still very hard for me. But I think for me in this season, what has helped me kind of by force is me having a child and
Mhm.
reprioritizing my priorities
Yeah.
from realizing my capacity. and being okay with my capacity right now.
Yes.
And before I didn't have that, I was just struggling even more, but now I have to do that, which
Hmm.
I'm grateful for. And I think, man, like you said, in business, the faith and trust that it takes to rest in God for the results, let's say it like that, for the
Yeah.
results, and then also the patience it takes for the work that you gotta put in,
Hmm.
diligence. Imma say diligence. The
Yeah.
diligence that you have to put in, and the
Hmm.
results may not come up to 3 months later, you know what I'm saying? All these lessons, all these requires trust and faith, and I think for me, like, you just gave me something to think about, like, too, like, what is God calling me to do or operate in my business? How do I need to market for my well-being? Since I have people depending on me even
Yeah.
more now.
Yeah.
I can't now I really can't afford to get burned out. Like I said, I can't afford to feel I can't afford for burnout because
Hmm.
people depending on me. So I have
Yeah.
to really evaluate, well, what does that look like for me now in this season? What does that look like for me? Is that just making more connections like this with what I've already built over this
Right.
time?
Yeah.
So that's a great.
Yeah. And I think that goes with anything in life because we can always do something else, especially us as high achievers. We're like, give me the next thing. Let's do the next thing. But is it really in a way, does it really fit you? And like for me, another tool that I have used in conjunction with my relationship with God is using human design. And I actually
Okay.
have a friend, my friend Anna, she actually just wrote a book about business and human design. And so it talks about your human design. Like you have a number, and just like personality profiles, you have a number and you have like different things. And it shares like how I'm supposed to market based off of my human design.
Oh,
And I feel like,
eh,
yeah, it's so good because okay, it's just confirming to me of what I feel like God has been speaking to me. So this has just been a level of confirmation of, okay, this is how I'm really supposed to operate. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so sometimes having different tools like that to remind us, like, okay, these are the guardrails. This is what you're really good at. This is your gifting. This is what God has. I always think of human design like God created our human design. So just the human design charts and profiles and stuff like that is just helping us highlight what's already there.
a good case to think about.
Yeah, yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, Trisha, we could talk all day long, I feel, as with all of my guests. So, I do want to know, do you have anything that you wanted to share about what you're currently doing and what you have for your people?
There's one, I've got some advice from an author. I do have a couple of books. One is about Amazon trauma on fire is actually about a journey to Christ and my mental health journey as well. Right
Mhm.
now, I'm building an aspires for my being mental health coach and growth coaching and take your mental health goals and we get to it. So I am open for that. I have a book development program that I am encouraged. If you
Yes.
have a, yeah, if you have a book on the go that you want to write or things you want, you just got something to say and need help putting it together and you want to turn it into a book. I help people do that over the program. So I'm also doing that. So those are the things that I'm doing right now that I'm really excited about.
That's awesome. And we will link everything for Jerisha in the show notes. So if you want to connect with her, you click on those links. We'll link her book as well. That's on Amazon. And okay, the last question, Jerisha, for you. This is like the question I asked all my guests is how are you breaking up with burnout now?
I am breaking up with burnout by accepting my capacity in this season.
That's good. That's good.
That's something.
Yeah. So give us a little bit. What does that look like for you? Accepting your capacity. What does that look like for you right now?
I'm not needing everybody else needs also.
in the in the in what yeah, yeah. That's really great. Awesome. I love that you're doing that. I love that you're saying that. I think accepting what needs to be prioritized in your life and being able to be okay with that. Because I know sometimes people struggle with that. I feel like I have to step back or I have to step away. And it's like coming to that place of acceptance and knowing that's okay. So that's my thing. It is okay.
It
Wherever
is
you're at,
okay.
it is okay. It is okay. Awesome. Jerisha, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Tiffany. You're so
Yeah.
welcome.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for listening to the Breaking Up with Burnout podcast, and we will see you next time. Hey there. I hope you enjoyed my call with Jerisha. It was so great. What we realized is at the end of the call, her internet was a little bit wobbly, so you might not have heard her information about her book. Her book is on Amazon, and it will be linked in the show notes. Also, she was talking about how she was breaking up with burnout, and her way is really the acceptance of her capacity right now. So I want to make sure you got that information, as I know the audio is a little bit wobbly towards the end. While I'm here, I'd love to give you some updates with See the Wonder. We have the Wonderwell community. It's an online community where we have community calls on a regular basis. We are doing them twice a month inside the Circle platform. We are so excited to have you. Our next ones, as of this recording, is going to be November 4th and November 18th, and we will also have the December ones up as well. If you are wanting information about this, click the community call link so you can sign up in the show notes. Also, we have our Wonderwell community on the Circle platform. This is a space where you can engage with other helping professionals or people who hold space like you to swap resources, to encourage each other, to receive coaching audios from me, trainings, and we will have guest speakers as well. I'm really excited about having you inside of the community because I think you not only need a space to let your hair down because you are helping other people, but also I know you have some insight to be able to encourage each other. And when we link arms together, we are definitely better together. The link for more info about the Wonderwell community is in the show notes as well. So there'll be a link for that. This is a membership. So it's a membership platform where you pay for it monthly or you can pay for it yearly, depending on how you want to do it. And we are so excited to have you. We cannot wait for you to be inside. I think you will be a huge asset to the community. If you have any questions, please email us. You can email me personally, tiffanyleader@seethewonder.net. Or if you have a question in general, you can email our team, info@seethewonder.net. All right, talk to you soon.